Hi everybody, Shelly here. Before we can paint this face, I need to set up my palette. So here you see me laying out my colors. I'm going to start with some titanium white, followed by some yellow ochre pale, then a cad red light. I like the cad red light because it's a little more mild than the pure cad red. Works great for skin tones. Then we have some burnt sienna, and this is an emerald green. I may use it in the face, I may not, but just in case, I have my Viridian going on next. That goes to the right of the bluish Parma, which was already on my palette. And now I'm adding the ultramarine blue, and then that's going to be followed by the chromatic black, which is by Gamblin, and that is a very transparent black, works great in flesh tones. So from this point, I'm going to mix up some of the sky that is going to be surrounding the head. Anytime I'm painting a head, I want to have the background color available to me just so I can control and manipulate the edges, because I did an underpainting and it's already dry. So there's no working wet into wet at this point. It's basically just going onto a dry canvas. So I'm mixing up some of that sky color, and then there's some dark bluish tones in the scarf around her neck. So I'm going to mix up those since I'm already dipping into the blue. I also see some of that blue in her hat band. So next, I like to start from the top, working my way down when I'm painting a head. So I'm going to mix up some of this hat color as well. We're going to need that for the beginning of the face painting. I work in a selective start manner, so I'm going to be picking a spot and then just building out from there. And I'm more than likely going to be starting with the top of the hat. So here we are mixing that up. It's kind of this sort of greenish khaki color. If, when I'm working into the painting, if I need to make adjustments, I will do so at that time. I'm going to start with these basic ideas of color that you see me mixing now. Doesn't mean I am married to them, that I can't adjust them while I am painting, which more than likely will happen. In fact, by the time we get to the end of the painting in the following video parts, I'll show you how my palette develops into a much more, many more piles of mixed colors. And you can see a lot of what I'm mixing here. I've got everything grouped. So at the top of the mixtures is my shadows or darker value colors. And then in the middle is where I'm going to keep my mid-value colors. And then towards the bottom of my palette, I'm going to be mixing my light value colors and keeping them down here. I can judge the values of the colors slightly based on the palette color, which is about a value 5 on the grayscale. So mid-value gray palette. It's a glass palette. I've painted the back of the palette, so I have that value judgment just sitting right there available to me as I mix. It can be very helpful, especially if you snap a picture of your palette with your phone, turn it to the mono setting and view it in black and white. It really helps you see that you've grouped your colors successfully. And if a color jumps out in the group, maybe you need to just take your palette knife, scoop it up, and move it to the group that it is better suited value-wise for it. So whenever you're working in a shadow area on the face, you cannot be dipping into your light values down on the bottom. So this helps you also control the color values while you're painting by setting up your palette in this way. Here we're getting into some of the flesh tones. I've mixed a cool version on the left side of this little strip and then the warmer versions here on the right side. All right, I think we're ready. Let's paint.